Gaza, there are growing international calls for an investigation into mass graves that have been discovered in the south of the Strip. The European Union has now joined the United Nations in demanding an independent probe. On Wednesday, another 51 bodies were found in the grounds of the hospital in Khan Yunis. More than 300 have been discovered since Saturday.
We are gravely concerned by the reported discovery of mass graves in Khan Yunis and in Al-Shifa hospital. This is something that forces us to call for an independent investigation of all the suspicions and all the circumstances, because indeed it creates the impression that there might have been violations of international human rights committed. That's why it's important to have independent investigation and to ensure the accountability.
The United Nations and the European Union now calling for an independent investigation into those mass graves. But what's that going to look like? Well, Luigi Daniel is a senior lecturer in international law and international criminal law at Nottingham Law School. And he was among the academics invited by human rights organisations to discuss the Special Rapporteur's Gaza genocide report at the UN Human Rights Council. He's joining us live now from London. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. Aid agencies and foreign governments and the UN itself have been gathering to some degree or another evidence to suggest that Israel has been committing war crimes in Gaza since October of last year. Why has nothing happened yet? And will this call for an independent investigation into this case actually make any difference?
Thanks, Rob, for the question. It's 6 months we are witnessing reports by a multiplicity of credible human rights organizations, media outlets documenting relentless targeting of civilians or otherwise protected Palestinians. At least 251 aid workers have been killed. The Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs counts 490 health workers killed since the beginning of this military campaign. So it's true that there have been no concrete results of existing investigations, but we don't know if nothing has happened because the International Criminal Court was already investigating probable international crimes by both parties to this conflict. And the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has made clear in multiple occasions that the court is investigating also probable crimes committed by the Israeli army. So there is a distinct likelihood that arrest warrants are imminent even for Israeli leaders. But let me stress that they are long overdue. Injustice and systematic crimes have already been committed on a horrific scale, as these mass graves demonstrates. So the international community should pressure immediate arrest warrants to try to prevent the continuation of these crimes.
As you said, the procedure of bringing a prosecution at the International Criminal Court takes a significant amount of time. We've covered many of those cases here on Al Jazeera, and they invariably seem to spread over years. Do you think that the threat of being prosecuted at the International Criminal Court actually is regarded as a severe threat by people who perhaps in some cases have actually committed war crimes?
Yes, to be honest, Israeli media outlets have reported a few days ago an emergency meeting of the Israeli executive out of fear of imminent arrest warrants. Unfortunately, the fact that these investigations are extremely complex and take a long time, it's of no justification in this case, because consider that the first engagement of the Palestinian Authority with the International Criminal Court demanding justice for all crimes is of almost 10 years ago. And this investigation has been pending for years. In relation to the second part of your question, unfortunately, the Israeli executive has repeatedly communicated to feel above the law of war and above international criminal law. So irrespective of these Israeli leaders' perception about international crimes, it's the credibility of an international rules-based system that needs these arrest warrants to restore the minimum levels of international legality that are needed in the long run to achieve a just peace. If you deprive victims of these horrific crimes of any form of recognition of their victimization, you are not working for a just peace and for equal rights. On the contrary, this failure reproduces spirals of civilian victimization. And so the same mistake cannot be committed anymore.
Sorry to interrupt you, but just briefly on that, because you've raised a very interesting point. I mean, in the event that prosecutions were brought, how confident could people affected on both sides by this war be that somebody is actually going to be held to account? And I'm talking about people on both sides of the conflict who've lost family members and friends.
Exactly. This is a crucial issue because all the relatives of civilians killed, injured, targeted unlawfully on all sides of this seemingly lawless conflict at the moment deserve justice. And I think the likelihood of accountability, if the situation is unblocked, is high. I cannot do it, but should I read to you the 54 war crimes conduct codified in the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court? Dozens of them appear to have been committed. So once this prosecution gets to the next stage, it will take time, but we can be confident that some degree of accountability can be achieved. This is not enough to reach a just solution to this conflict, but it's for sure an essential prerequisite to go into this direction.
Luigi Danieli, we appreciate you giving us the benefit of your expertise in this. Thank you very much indeed for your time.